Hey, this is going to be a quick Cubase crash course. So here we go. First thing you want to do is you want to get your sound card configured. So download latest drivers, hardware connections, etc. You want to download Cubase, install it from Steinberg's website. It's well detailed and documented there. So go on. Then open Cubase, and when you open Cubase, you'll probably get this hub. We'll close it for now, and we'll go Studio and Studio Setup. So this is the first place you want to go here before starting doing anything, and this will solve most problems of I have no sound, I can't record. So you want to go in Audio System. If you're using an older version, it might not be on top here of the menu, it might be down here. Go Audio System, and you want to choose the correct ASIO driver for your sound cards. So I'm using the Focusrite USB. It's fine. If I was using no driver, I would just click Focusrite USB, switch, and that's it. You're good to go. Click OK. Then we want to go Studio and Audio Connections, or F4. This is the other place where there's a lot of confusion in new Cubase users. So let me start by we'll do it from scratch. So just delete whatever is in here. Just click on the bus name, remove bus. Once it's empty, so what we're adding here is inputs for our audio tracks. So when Cubase is going to ask you what input you want to use, this is where we're configuring it. So my sound card has 2 mic preamps. So I want 2 inputs, and I want to be able to use them as mono inputs. So I'll add bus. I'll do 2 mono. So I have mono in 2, which corresponds to input 1 of my sound card and input 2. You can rename these here, the bus names, however you want. If you can name it like this could be guitar and this could be mic. Yeah, so this is what you're going to be selecting on your audio tracks when you're recording. So if you want to select your mic, you just select mic. If you want to select guitar, select guitar. Let's go to the outputs, and we're just going to remove that. Then we're not going to be using the output section. I'll show you what we're going to be using instead. It's the control room here. So you want to activate control room, enable or disable if it's not already. If you have nothing in here, it's great. We'll start from scratch, and we'll just right click and say add monitor, add 1 stereo monitor, and click this little arrow to expand, and let's do output 1 and 2. So this just so this means that Cubase, when we're going to be doing playback, will send the sound to output 1 and 2, which is my monitors and my headphones. So it's my main, it's my left right. So that's it for audio connections. You can close this. Now we'll go into edit, and we'll go into preferences. So yeah, preferences is a place where I won't show you everything that's in here, but if you want to change the behavior of Cubase, this is where you'll find it. For example, the meter's appearance. If you want on import of audio tracks, when you drag and drop, what do you want Cubase to do? This is an important one. I want to use settings, copy all files to folder, and convert to project settings, so I won't get any sample rate conversion problems of 48 to 44 and getting pitch changes and stuff. So if I use this, it will be fine. And another important one is return to start position on stop. So if I press spacebar, do I want it to go back at the beginning or to stop where I press stop? This is an interesting one to modify if you want. You got also the, yeah, tons of stuff. You can go here, the autosave. You have here the monitoring. How do you want to monitor? Do you want to use I would suggest tape machine style for most people. I prefer manual. I'll get into that later probably. So yeah, that's just a place where you can change and you can save how Cubase reacts and how it's configured. So these were the preferences. We'll also do the project setup. So the project setup we can't do right now because we need to open a project. Okay, let's go in here and go then for the key commands, edit key commands. So here's all the key commands of Cubase. So let's say add track, add audio track is already assigned to numerical plus. If I want to delete that, I can delete that. I can remove. If I want to reassign, I just type in key. I click here, press the key, assign, and it's been assigned. I can load in presets, already presets for Logic Pro Tools users that are coming to Cubase. You can try these out, or you can customize like you want. And there's macros also you can create. So this Cubase is very configurable. So if you're doing like a very specific task, you can get it very optimized. So that's where the key commands are. Perfect. So now let's just start by creating a new project. Let's go File, New Project. Let me just check on my OBS here if it's still recording. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty much improvising here, guys. So let's see where this goes. And sorry if it's not 100% good. I might do a better version if this gets popular. So let's do a new project here. So you wanted to go File, New. What I like to do is this thing here, prompt for project location. So every time you create a new project, it will ask you where you want to put it. This is how I like to work. We'll go in more here and do an empty project. And let's say create. It's prompting me where do I want to put this. Sorry, these are the cats. We'll put it in tutorial, Cubase tutorial 2. So you want to create a folder. So you always want to create a new folder, because when you're creating the project, Cubase will not create a folder like Pro Tools. So you want to create that folder, Cubase tutorial 2. Select folder once you're in it. Sorry, cats again. So once I'm in my new project, okay, we'll go for the project setup. So project setup. And this is where you choose your sample rate and your bit depth. So sample rate, I'm always using 48 because I'm often working with video. And bit depth 24, always been using 24. And wave. One setting I've changed from the default here is volume max plus 12. I like having my volume fader go up to plus 12 if I want to, instead of plus 6. And I'm not touching the rest. If you're using video, we might drag a video later on. Get frame rate from video is useful if you want to match Cubase frame rate to the video's frame rate. Okay. The next thing we want to do is save the file, because Cubase doesn't save by default. Let's go File, Save. Give it a name, Cubase tutorial 2. Boom, it's saved. By the way, you have save as functions. Let's say if I want to do V2, it's a V2, and you also have save new version. You see here, V2-1, save new version, V2-02. So a way of always creating new save files, so you can always go back in your project. This is very, very useful. Control-Alt-S. Now, basic navigation in Cubase. What I suggest to do is not use the keyboard. You can use G and H. You can use this thing for zooming. You can also go up here in the ruler, but I suggest using the mouse. So Control, wheel, zoom in, zoom out. Shift, wheel, navigate left and right. Click on the wheel, hand tool, move right or up and down. This I use a lot. And here, top right, this is zoom in on waveforms. Let me just show that to you quickly. I'll just do a quick record here. So this is a quick record. This is the zoom in on the waveform, just like in Pro Tools. So this is it. And the zones. So here, top right, you can actually activate the zones or deactivate them. So if you have a small screen and you need all the real estate you want, just deactivate those when you're working and activate them when you need them. So basic project configuration, I will always start by adding a signature track. And okay, this is a bit big, so let's Shift G and H for zooming in on the track size. So we're in 4/4. Double click here for 3/4. Double click for 7/8. Double click for 4/4. Alt and click for adding changes. So most of the time you'll stay in 4/4, 3/4. Now we've got our signature track. Let's add an tempo track. So tempo track, I can change the tempo here. I can also change the tempo without the tempo track down here. And the advantage of the tempo track is that I can draw in my tempo here. If I wanted to, here it's that step, I can do ramps. I can do snap to the grid every bar. So my tempos are snapping. Yeah, basically I won't go into details, but this is how you do it. I can also print a click track, go onto the signature track and say, let's make a selection, press P, and then go render audio click or render MIDI click between locators. So P is very useful in Cubase. It will create them in and outs, these little flags. And then after you can do whatever you want with that. So I'll delete these tracks. To delete, select tracks you want to delete and go remove selected tracks. So I'm not going to be using the printed click tracks for now. I'll then after do some marker tracks. Go add marker track. Put that on top. And yeah, marker track, you can position your cursor. So as you can see, I'm moving the cursor here. And I'm not up here. So most users of Cubase move the cursor by going up here in the ruler. I find that's how I used to do it for probably 8 years. Then I discovered that you can only hold Alt and Shift and move the cursor wherever you want without being up here. Yep, it took me 8 years to learn that. And most people that use Cubase don't even know this. Oh well, live and learn. So moving the cursor, where the cursor is, I can add markers. If I click on a marker, I'll get a description here. This is the chorus. I go here, add another marker. This is the bridge. I can move them. I can double click on them to locate. I can, in the inspector here, click here to locate to the markers. So there's always tons of ways of doing the same thing in Cubase, and that's what I kind of want to show you guys quickly. I usually don't use markers. I use cycle markers to mark the ins and out of my song. So make a selection, press P, and then add cycle marker. So this is my whole song. This is how I usually do it because I have multiple songs or versions of my songs in my projects most of the time. And this is a way of indicating the beginning and the end. If you double click on a cycle marker, it will actually put your ins and outs at the same place. So when I'm doing exports, I place my markers as at the beginning and the end. My cycle marker, and I double click and I'm ready to export after. We'll get to that later on. If I'm using a video track, I'll let me check if I have one here. Drag and drop from the desktop. Boom, I got video track with audio. Press F8 to get the video player. And as you can see, there's in red, it's written project rate mismatch. Shift S to get the project set up and get rate from video. Okay, so now Cubase, if you go here, down here on the secondary time display and do time code, now the time code will be the same, will follow the video frame rate. If you press F8, you get a video display. I'm just scrubbing the video. Press F8 again. I'll just delete this for now. We're not going to be using, or I'll keep it. Maybe we'll do an export at the end with the video. I'll delete the audio track though. So let's just keep the video in here. Now we're going to be creating tracks and recording audio. So basically, to create tracks in Cubase, click in the empty space in the track list, and here's all the different type of tracks. Audio tracks, we'll be using instrument tracks, sampler tracks, effects, groups, folder tracks, and we already went to the marker tracks and the arranger tracks, tempo track, and sorry about that. So let's try the audio track. You get this menu here, audio input. So this is what we've configured before. Remember when we were doing the configuration here for the inputs? Well, now when we're adding a track, it's asking us, what do you want to record? You can select hardware inputs or buses. I prefer using my buses because I have my custom names in them, so it's just easier for me. Configuration, always use a stereo audio track in Cubase. Well, you can actually use mono tracks, but you can't apply stereo effects on mono audio tracks. Cubase will not upgrade the mono track to a stereo track if you put a stereo effect on it, so you're stuck with your mono track. You can put mono signals on stereo audio tracks, and you can record mono on stereo audio tracks in Cubase. This is a little bit confusing. Just to make it simple, use stereo tracks. So I'll be recording mono, but if ever later on I want to add a stereo effect on the inserts on that track, even if it's a mono signal, it will be able to be stereo. If I was using a mono track, I would put a stereo reverb on the mono track, it would be mono. So use whatever we want. Name, we'll do a test recording. So this is my test recording track. Here's my inputs and my outputs. Stereo out is my headphones and my speakers. It's my left, right. And input here is mic. So this is my microphone. I'll activate record, press R or press this red button, position cursor, hit record, and we're recording. So this is actually what I'm recording. Playback, and we're recording. So this is all working. This here is monitor. Usually you want to have that open when you're recording. Here it's phasing because I'm doing this OBS recording at the same time. So usually if you don't hear yourself, it's because this is not activated. And if you want this to be manually activated, you have to manually activate this every time, or else you go into preferences, you go into VST, and you go auto monitor tape machine style. And every time you press record, it will automatically go on. When you press record, it goes off. And when you press play and it turns it off. So usually you want to be recording in tape machine style. I like manual for different reasons. So that's basically monitoring. And you have your regular, mono, solo. Volume is right here. Pan is right here. So you have basic track controls here. This thing here, edit channel settings, pretty important. This is where I spend most of my time when I'm mixing and editing and doing routing. So here you have your input, the mic, the output is stereo out, you have your fader, you have your controls, mute, solo. You have the inserts here, you have the pre. So here I have a low cut and so I have low cut, I have high cut, or a high pass and low pass. I have a gain, which is just like a trim, a volume before going into the whole chain. I'm usually not using that. I have a polarity flip or phase face flip. You get also an equalizer here. So what I've recorded here, if I play it back, and we're recording. So this is actually what I'm. So you get a nice 4-band EQ, full parametric. It's very nice to use. It works with the modifiers. Here I'm holding Shift. Here I'm holding Alt to restrain the frequency control, sorry. And here I'm holding Alt to restrain the gain value. So it's pretty useful. And here in this tab, channel strip, you can activate compressor. To have a de-esser here, you can move them around. I won't go into detail, but this is a lot of stuff you can use for mixing. You basically don't really need any other plugins for basic mixing. So now that we've done the audio track, let's go for an instrument track. I'll go add instrument track. So right click, add instrument track, retrolog. You can type in whatever you want. Retrolog is, everyone has that if you have a Cubase Pro. I'll just put the volume down a bit, might be loud. So there you go, you got your synth. If you want to record, just press record, and I'll press C for click. There you go. I was recording also on audio track, I'll delete that. So yeah, we've just recorded on the instrument track. That's basically it. Let's go now for a sampler track. Sampler track, what I suggest you do is, let's say I want to use this snare here. I just drag it in Cubase first, and then after creating the sampler track, I drag it in the sampler here. If you drag it from your desktop, it will reference it and will not copy it to your project folder. This is the way I like to do it. So now I have my sampler track. So you're ready to play. So if I record on a sampler track, it's like an instrument track. So this is it for the sampler track. Effects track. Let's go. Let's say I want to add some reverb to that snare I just recorded. Select the sampler track, click in empty space here, and say add effect channel to selected channel. Let's go reverence, which is a Cubase reverb. And now I have reverb on that track. To audio sends here will show me how much I'm sending to that track. Or as I said, I like using edit channel settings, so this is where I see it if I have the correct sampler track. So let's rename that to the snare. If I've got this selected, boom, this is the send to the reverb. This send is a post fader for now. I won't get into that later. Let's say I want to create a group track also. So let me just record something a bit more meaningful. Okay, and let me do some synths. Okay, let's do this. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is my recording. Let me turn down the snare. Let's say I want to assign both of these tracks to, I want to route them to one single track, so to a group track. I select both of these. I click an empty space here on the bottom, and I say add group channel to selected tracks. And I'll call this instrumental. And here you go. I got my instrumental. Control scroll if you want to change the color quickly. So this is my instrumental. If I open up the edit channel setting, I can affect the EQ of both of these tracks now quickly. So this is the group track. And if I want to put all of these into a folder, select tracks, click on one of these tracks and say move selected tracks to new folder. And yeah, this is it. This is instrumental in a folder track. This is for organizing purposes, editing purposes, and you can record all your tracks at once. Yeah, this is a folder tracks, more for organization and grouping. Then let's go to basic editing here. So basic editing, what you want to start with, let's say I have my, and we'll record my track here, my vocal track that I recorded earlier on. If you see here, I am snap on. Let's turn that off for now. So snap is, yeah, let's turn it off. And if I go here on my audio event, when I select it, I get a bunch of, when I'm hovering above, I get some squares, some triangles, square here. So the square on the bottom here, these will be my trims. So beginning and end. I get my fade in, fade out. Double click to get the fade in or fade out menu. You want to double click in the upper part of the fade in or fade out. Also, if you have this little square here, go up and down. This is the gain for the, so it's very different from this guy here. This is actual gain. So and we're recording. So this is actually, will actually move the volume. If I turn on snap, so my edits will snap to the values that are determined by these rules. So it can be every bar, it can be every beat, it can be use quantize, use a custom value here, or adapt to zoom. Depending on your zoom level, it will be different. The more zoomed in I am, the more precise it will get. Still remains musical values though. So this is what I usually use. I usually use adapt to zoom or use quantize 16ths. And I'm only using grid usually and snap on. If you're not doing music, you probably don't want to use the grid and you want to use maybe snap to zero crossing. So snap to zero crossing means that the cursor will not create clicks when you're chopping up the signal. I usually don't use this in music because it can cause some problems sometimes when cutting, when you want to do precise cuts at the musical values. So let's go now with, so now we've seen snap and the grid settings. Now let's go to the tools that I've been using to do my edits. So you got 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard. You select the tools 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got them up here. So this is the main one you're going to be using: object selection and range selection. Object selection has some of these tools have like sub menus where you can use normal, sizing, move contents, time stretch. We'll just use the normal tool for now. So this one you can do lassos. You can hold Alt and get the modifier key for the scissors. So instead of going to the scissors, just hold Alt. That's the scissor. And another modifier with the object selection is Control and Alt. Select, Control Alt. So you're doing slip editing here. Very useful for editing. I like also using the range selection too. So select the range. Sorry about that, guys. This is all live and improvised, so happens. Yeah, this thing here, range selection. Select a range. I like using it to cut stuff. So select and delete, or select and cut stuff. Boom. Pretty easy. Or select, hold on Alt. This will copy the signal. Select a part, hit delete, or just move it out. It's pretty useful. Yeah, so you got different tools. You got the eraser to erase. You got the pencil to draw in lines or to draw in some trim automation on the clips. You got the scissors. Sorry about that. So you got scissors to cut. You got the glue to re-glue stuff together. You got mute X. You got comping tool for comping, zooming in. Yeah, so just try out the different tools, but basically you're mostly using 1 and 2 and modifiers. This is the quickest way of doing it, I guess. Let's go now with crossfades. So let's say I have these two events. I like to do crossfades using the range selection. Select the range you want to crossfade, press X, double click. You get the menu for the crossfades, equal power or equal gain. Equal power usually sounds smoother on certain material. Equal gain, if you're doing equal gain, depending on what you're doing, might sound better too. Just try it out. Let's go now with basic MIDI editing. So I've done some MIDI recording here before Retrolog. Now, if I double click on a MIDI event, I'll get this window here, which is MIDI editor, key editor. So using this tool here, object selection, I can move notes around. I can resize them. Use control to bypass the snap, or turn off snap if you want it off, or turn it on and it will snap. I can alt and click. We'll draw notes. Do alt and click on a note and it will chop it up. What we can do also is control alt. So select note, control alt. This is the velocity. Select multiple notes, control alt. This is the velocity of many notes together. You got the lanes at the bottom here. There's tons of ways of doing it too here. You can draw in pitch bend. You can snap the pitch bend. You can display more lanes, modulation, other CC lanes you want to display. You can also select your notes, and here in the lanes you get fade in kind of a thing. You get this here, which is up or down all velocity, and this is like a compressor or expand or compress the different values of the MIDI notes. So tons of stuff you can do here, but basically this is what you'll be doing basically. And yeah, I think that's select note, delete. Yeah, that's what MIDI editing quickly is all about. Let's go do some basic mixing here. So I'll just take Retrolog. Let's say I want to do a low pass or high cut. So I'm going here, edit channel setting, activating doing a high cut. I'll do a low cut too. Let's make it really thin. Perfect. Okay, I can then go on my snare sound maybe, and I want to do the same. Or maybe I want to EQ the snare sound to have more highs. Okay, that's good. You can use also the channel strip. I'll just activate the compressor. I'm on Retrolog now. So I'll pop these out. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm compressing here. Perfect. So these tools you can use for mixing. Let's use now the insert effects. So I'm on Retrolog. Let's just reset the EQ. Yeah, this is good. Let's say I want to use distortion. So I just went here in the inserts. Could have gone here too, also in the inspector audio inserts. Same thing. Here I just removed the plugin by dragging it out of the screen. So this is .tube. It's a tube distortion. It's not doing much here. Okay, it's putting the volume up at least. So this is how you use inserts. Let's say I got that tube. Let's say I want to do Manito. vibrato. So this is another kind of distortion tool you can use, and if I want to remove them, just drag them in, drag them out. If I want to use the compressor here, well, here it is. So you see, just play around with your inserts. Have fun. You still have different EQs too. Frequency is a more complex EQ. It goes as MS2. It goes dynamic. Have fun with it. So these are insert effects. Let's go with send effects now. So there's another way of quickly adding send effects in the edit channel setting, and so I'm on Retrolog. I'll go into Sends, right-click, Add Effect Channel, and okay, reference already there. There we go. I got reverb. This is post-fader, because if I put it down, nothing. If I go pre-fader, so this is pre-fader. If you want to use some send effects in pre-fader, it's blue. And this icon is just really confusing, so I don't know how to, you just got to remember. Okay, these are sends. Group processing, well, we've been through that a bit. So my instrumental here is the group channel I created earlier. So I can do EQ here on, I can do EQ, I can do compression, and it will affect the Retrolog and the snare at the same time. Now let's go quickly on automation. One thing you want to have activated is open automation panel here, go settings, and reveal parameters on write. So when you set up your automation for writing, this W here, I open up the edit channel setting, I automate the parameter I want to automate. Volume, it's going to be volume. So you see the volume parameter appears on a new lane. If I automate the EQ, all the settings that I'm using for automating are appearing as I'm writing it. So then after I can just disable write, global write. On top here, these are global settings. It will disable the write for all tracks. And then I can go and draw in more precise automation and yeah, just do whatever I want more precisely. So this is a way of just showing the parameters quickly, and then you can dig in with the mouse. So we got automation. You got, yeah, this is the read. You can turn it off, turn it on. Let's go. I'll just go a bit in the mixer. I don't usually use a mixer, but the mixer has these visibility panes, visibility zones too. So in the left zone, you can choose if you want to hide tracks or show tracks. The most useful things I find is the zones, where I can decide, let's say my stereo output track, I want to pin it to the right. So this is how you do it, or pin it to the left. That's how you pin a track to the right or to the left to create zones. So this is, yeah, basic mixer visibility and zones. You have your racks here in the mixer that you expand here, and you can decide what you want to show. So if I don't want EQ, I don't want channel strip, I just want my inserts and my routing and my pre-filtering, boom, there it is. These are my inserts and my sends. I can see everything quickly. And one useful thing is the quick link here. So quick link is when I select multiple tracks, so let's say the Retrolog and the snare track. So I'm holding control now to select multiple tracks, or hold shift to select from beginning to end. So Retrolog and snare. If I hold alt and shift, I'm creating a quick link between these two tracks temporarily. I can disable sends, I can insert effects, and it will insert across multiple tracks. So it's a quick way of doing things. I can also copy inserts if I hold Alt. I'm copying inserts. To remove them, just drag out quickly. I can hold whole signal chains can be copied quickly by going insert to insert. So I'm just hovering my mouse over the word inserts and just going to the next one where I wanted to copy, and boom, it copies. If you want to reset inserts, Alt-Shift, click on the blue, click on the, oh, it doesn't work in the mixer. Yeah, so to reset mixer inserts, you want to Alt-click and click on this little button here. This will reset, or you can click it in the here in the inspector, right here, Alt-Shift and click, reset. Yeah, that was the sends, but it works for the sends too, and for the inserts. Quick way of resetting a specific insert or send for a track. Now what we'll do is just, so let's say this is our song. Terrible, awful. I'll put some markers for the in and out of my song. So I'll press P. I'll select my whole song, press P, and go to my marker track and do add cycle marker. Okay, I'll extend it to one measure because I want the tail. Perfect. So that's my whole song. Before exporting, so you do your mixing, your stuff, and so obviously I'm going real quick here, guys. On my stereo out, type in limiter. Just add this limiter here, and I'll mute it for now and just do a playback of your okay, how can I do this? Because this is gonna get loud. Yeah, let's do this like this. Put this 24 dBs lower. You do a playback and you want to get like 3 dBs of gain reduction. Just put the input higher until you get 3 dB. And reset value here. 4 is good. Up to 6 is pretty good. So just to tell you, this limiter here, so what it's doing is that it's bringing the whole level up, and it's chopping a few of the moments the signal is going over 0 dB. So this will just make your track kind of loud. In a way, when you compare to other tracks, it's not like 15 dBs lower. So this is just a quick way of doing it. You can use the auto release tool on this thing here. So auto release, put the input until you hit a few dBs of gain reduction. Boom. Then you're ready to export your tracks. File, export, audio mix down. Before going in here, make sure you double click on your cycle marker, which is the beginning and the end of your song. Now go File, Export, Audio Mix Down. We'll go Single, Stereo, Locator. Type in the name for your projects. This is a test export. The path here, Cubase decided to put it in a mixdown folder. That's fine for me for now. File type WAV 4824. Yeah, WAV 4420 is good for me. And here we go, export. Now, if I open, let's see here, tutorial, Cubase tutorial 2, mixdown. This is our export. Sorry, that was loud. And now we're going to export in MP3. So I'm just going File, same thing, Export Audio Mixdown. I'm just using my shortcut, Control E that I created. We'll go File, Type, MP3. This is fine for me, Export. And as you can see, it's created an MP3 here. If I want to export separate tracks, let's say my retrologue and my snare track, I'll go Export Multiple, and I'll click retrologue and snare, and it's also going to export the stereo out. I could export also the effects separately. When you do complex routing, this can get a bit complicated, and like your snare will have the reverb. Your reverb will have the reverb of the retrologue and the snare if you use the same reverb. So just play around with it and see what happens. But this is how you basically export multiple tracks if you want them to get mixed in another software or by another mixer. And then I would choose Wave probably, 4824 export. And you can see here is created in my instrument retrolog, my sampler track, snare. They're separate tracks now. And they're pre-limiter, so they're not affected by, and they're pre-group anything. This is just the instrument track with its inserts. So yeah, this is a quick way of exporting multiple channels. If you want to export a video, got the video here. Yeah, let's just trim it so that's the length of our song. Place your markers in and out. You go File, Export, and Video. And yeah, test video export. Let's just export this into tutorial 2, vid export. Here we go. There are not many options for videos in Cubase. Just export it. Then we go back into Explorer. Let's go back to tutorial, Cubase 2, vid exports. Yep. Okay, terrible music, terrible video, but you get the point. Now we're ready to back up our project. So first thing you want to do once you're done, go into media and go prepare archive, copy. Pool is ready for archive, perfect. Then go file, go backup project. And you want to, let's go in the archive section and do Cubase tutorial 2 archive. And then you select folder, you get options for different stuff. Select your options, hit OK. And if I go in Explorer in my archive, now I have my project archived. So it reduces the size of the project, or it makes it very easy to just send this archive project to someone if someone wants to work on the project. So this makes sure that all the files are getting into one folder and you're ready to send this out. So that's it, guys. Sorry if this was not very precise or consistent. This is just improvised. I'm just trying out something new, and I might do if this gets popular, I might do some better videos with better music in it. So yeah, let me know in the comments, and let me know if you have any questions also. So thanks, and that's it.